Hello, 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 hello. So I noticed last time I was live with Rob, and I went back to listen to the Pisces part of it. Yeah, and I told him before I went live, I was like, balancing the audio is tough, but also like I feel like his setup is a lot more professional than mine, so my poor little microphone could not compete. It's fine. I didn't think about it until the end, but I could have just because my volume was set as high as it could go, but I could have um, turned up my microphone volume in the properties, like of my microphone. I could have turned it up. Hey Eve, hey Holly, how are y'all doing today? How art thou? Thou'st? What's more than one thou? How ost thou? I don't know. Anyway, so I went to the psychic fair for a little bit yesterday. And I was telling Max about Mercury being in its pre-retrograde shadow. And then I noticed that Uranus is retrograding. And then I noticed that there's going to be a fairly loose-ish, well, it's like in a 5-degree orb. I think it'll be fairly loose. There's a fairly loose grand, yeah. Last month I was going to go, but I had to work. Next month I probably won't be able to make it because I work every Saturday next month. But I did go to my second psychic fair. I was only there for a little bit though, because I had like one of my aunts, her birthday was yesterday, and she's there for literally everybody. So I wanted to be there for her on her special day. And it was nice being with family out at the park. Like I guess we used to do way back in the day. But yeah, it was nice. It was a good time. So I was only there for a little bit. And then I went to the party. Well, I was there and then I went to go work out and then I went to the party. And I was like dog tired. So by the end of it, I was starting to get like a little nauseous. And I was like, oof, oof. Head was starting to get a little achy. But yeah, I noticed that there's going to be a grand Earth trine in the sky between Pluto and Capricorn retrograde, Mercury and Virgo retrograde, and Uranus and Taurus retrograde. There's going to be a grand retrograde trine in the sky. And I'm sure it happens, but I was like, what? A grand trine in every planet is retrograde? Her case, Kirsty, hey Kido, how y'all doing today? Excuse me. It was interesting because I feel like my first psychic fair experience, it was just a different, like there was just a lot of confirmation. Well, I guess it makes sense. There was a lot of confirmation in the psychic fair readings and validation. And then I pulled like 3 cards for the however long ahead because I just so happened to arrive when they were doing a Facebook Live at the shop. And the cards I got, it was very like, if we can apply the wisdom that we've gained, it's going to unlock new situations moving forward. But in a way that very much so like affects and impacts our day-to-day life. So I guess with that in mind, it's almost like it was a time to take stock of where we are in life and play to our strengths to move forward. I don't know. Anyway. So I am going to do that thing I guess I do now, which is consult the Book of Sabian Crosses. What I'm going to do this time, though, is I'm going to math. And by math, I mean I'm going to take the average of when Uranus goes retrograde. Because like Wednesday, I think Wednesday, Mercury stations retrograde. And then a few days after that, Uranus stations retrograde. And so I'm going to look at the point when Uranus stations retrograde, because that'll be the third in the retrograde trine. And then I'm going to average where all three of those are. And so I'm going to, that's not even a square. I can't even use a square. Boo. I guess I'll just go and find the Sabian symbols for, so I'm going to average them. I'm going to find the Sabian symbol for the average, and then I'm going to pull cards for like how far it is off of the average. So that number of cards. And we'll just see what's up. And we'll just see what is up. Excuse me. I don't know what I'm doing today. Honestly, I feel like I should be in the bed, even though I just woke up. Ooh, this like sleeping thing is rough. I'm still adjusting to this work schedule. And I'm hydrating today because I have not been drinking water. Because I've not been drinking water. See, and then I took the Kim Crayons. I took the Wild Unknown Tarot, the pocket-sized Wild Unknown Tarot, and the Wild Unknown Archetypes. And people were like, oh my gosh, I love these. I was like, it's Kim Crayons. I love Kim Crayons. I have all four of her decks. I would have taken the Wild Unknown Alchemy, but I didn't want to have to like read a book. So I was like, it's fine. Plus, that would have been a little much. Well, actually, maybe not. Maybe next time I'll work that in somehow. So I kind of want to like, it's fine. I'm going to be sitting here all day. Yeah, that's why I was like, I got it. I have been drinking water like while I'm at work, but I feel like it's just not enough, you know? And then when I'm at home, I've been drinking anything but. I mean, I've been drinking more lately, but I feel like it's still not enough. Hey, David, how you doing? On a bike ride. Oh, snap. I feel like I'm still recovering from that last series of readings. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm using like natural light today, which I would do more often, but I'm literally right in front of this window. And so it's like the screen is backlit, so it's kind of hard to see sometimes. Wait, can I just turn up the brightness? Is that a thing? Or can I, what happens if I just turned off the eye shield and it's easier to see. Let me just start. Let me get started. And then we'll just see what's up. I just thought it was interesting that there's a grand retrograde trine in the sky. So the card that came out, the first card that I got for the general for the next however long, was the Page of Pentacles, the Seeker of Pentacles in the Threads of Fate Tarot that I no longer have. And it's the thread it's the tooth and then the key and then the earth. And that's why it was like applying wisdom that we've gained, whatever the universe has been leading us to really get to know or take stock of or whatever. is going to start unlocking those opportunities and stuff. Oh, snap. There's a balloon festival they do here in town, hot air balloons. I don't know when it is. So we'll say the average equals this. Oh wait, we have Uranus, Taurus, Mercury and Virgo, Pluto, Capricorn. And then I'll do the average. So let's see. So on the Apple, I use Time Nomad, and it's not available on Android, which is sad. Sad. Uranus is 23 right now, Taurus, Virgo, 21 Mercury, and Capricorn 28 Pluto. So yeah, it'll be in that 5-degree orb if Mercury makes it 2 more degrees before it retrogrades. Now it's probably going to be slowing down because it retrogrades. Because it's about to retrograde. So, but it's only 2 degrees for Mercury. 2 degrees is nothing. Hold up. What? Hello, is Uranus not about to retrograde? Girl, hello? If I go a week from now and this planet is retrograde, I'm going to be upset. Uranus is retrograde. Oh my gosh. They're not making it easy for me. Usually they tell me like when it happens. But it's like it skipped this Uranus retrograde and it went all the way to like 2025 or something. I'm like, hello? Oh, Uranus and Gemini. Oh, 2027. Oof. Oof. That's 4 years from now. Let's calm down. Yeah, it goes all the way to the 2024 retrograde. Okay, so August 28th at 9:11 p.m. Central. There we go. Here we go. Okay. I just needed to already be in its retrograde window to see when it goes retrograde. I wish I could just look at the chart. Yeah, because it's Christmas time apparently. Wait, is this Central? August 28th at 9:11 p.m. Central. Okay, now I got what, 9:12 p.m. Goodness. Okay, there we go. Whew. I'm so tired. I literally just woke up. I mean, today's the day I could have slept in bed all day, but if I get too much sleep, then it won't help either. So Uranus is going to be at 23 Taurus, 23 and 4 minutes. Mercury at that point will be at 20:30. Virgo. And Pluto will be still 28, I'm sure. Yep, 28:18. 28. So at that point, there's an 8-degree difference between Pluto and Mercury. So it is going to be like not the strongest. Well, that aspect at least won't be the strongest. But Uranus will be 3 off of Mercury and 5 off of Pluto. So I guess Uranus is going to be the linchpin in that trine, or it's like Uranus, the energy is going to pull on Uranus or something like that. Today is a very special Leo's birthday. And you didn't have to give me anything. Okay. So, I mean, Christmas music is flashing back to your days in retail. Sorry. I'm not trying to trigger anyone in that way. But Christmas music, I don't know what I'm gonna do for Christmas. I think I might start like getting decorations and stuff now, just so it's done by the time Christmas rolls around. Because if I wait any longer, it might not happen. I'm like, I have to decorate, 20 plus 23 plus 28 divided by 3 is 23.6. So, yeah, basically where Uranus is. Uranus is sitting right on average. So, I think I am going to do the thing. But then Uranus won't have a card. So 23.6 repeating is our average. 23.6. Hold up, wait. This is how I'm going to do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to Google Sabian symbols because there's no point in using I could still use the book, but I would have to go so back and forth. It's really helpful for like squares. Because that's how it goes through or how it looks at the Sabian symbols. But yeah. Full list of Sabian symbols. That is what I'm looking for, please. Oh, I still gotta click. Boo. It's so done. So is that 0 to 1? Oh, see, this is where I get confused with Sabian symbols because it just says 1. So I'm like, is that 0 to 1 or is it 1 to 2? I think it's 0 to 1 because I have 30. And so that would be like 29 to 30. Because as soon as you hit 30 degrees, it's at 0 of another sign. This is the one thing with Sabian symbols that really gets me, which is why I love the book. So I might just use the book because it clarifies, it specifies like this to that degree. So you know where you are. Ask the Oracle. Excuse me. Are we going to go to the handy dandy Cafe Astrology? Yep, we're on Cafe Astrology because Cafe Astrology specifies. But Cafe Astrology isn't as like user friendly as the other one. Because yeah, it's 29 to 30. Okay, I'm going to go back to the website I was just on and we're going to do it that way because this is more user friendly than the other one. Could I have had all of this done beforehand? Yeah, but would I be me if I did that? Ooh, hold up. Okay, we're back. I don't know what this is going to be or where we're going. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the Sabian symbol for where it is at the moment that Uranus goes retrograde, because then all three will be retrograde. And then I'm going to look at the average of the three. Is that what he said? Maybe he did say that. And then I guess Uranus will be, well, yeah, because Uranus is the linchpin. So, oh gosh, how am I going to do this? See, because I was like, I want to use one deck for the book. Oh, I'm going to use the before, after, and in between tarots. So I'm going to use the in between tarot for the average, and then I'm going to use the before tarot for Mercury, and I'm going to pull 3 cards to go back to where Mercury actually is from average. And then I'm going to use the after tarot for Pluto and pull 5 cards to get where Pluto is from average. Because Pluto is at 28, average is at 23. So even when I average all the degrees, again, Uranus is right in the middle. Uranus is right on point. So that could be really good for people who are wanting their circumstances in life to change a little bit. Hopefully for the better, but we'll see. We'll see what the energies present, and then it's up to us to utilize these energies in our day-to-day lives. But the other thing I love about the book is that with the cross of Sabian symbols, it gives like a whole like context and everything. So I ain't even got to try to use my brain to see the commonalities of all of these, because some of them be like, woof. Oh, thank you. I don't know how to do it any other way. Well, I do. I just don't. I'm also like, I picked up a little bit of techno wizardry from Rod. I was like, because before we went live, I was like, man, I wish there was a way to like crop these so I didn't have to just zoom in at whatever. And he was like, what do you mean? Like, there is. You just hold Alt and drag the box. I was like, what? Are you telling me that this whole time I could have been cropping? I wouldn't have been at the corner of the screen if I knew that. And he was like, yeah. I was like, oh, okay, well, cool. Learned something new that day. The High Priestess is here. I've seen the High Priestess in 2 out of 3 of these. In the before tarot, so the one for Mercury, and now it's in the in-between. It was in the in-between at the cut for Uranus. All right, let me get my little preliminary shuffles. And technically, I see it in the after tarot because the High Priestess is on the title card. And the title card was at the bottom of the deck. Rob knows everything. Do 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 do. Oh wait, I still need this. Who is this? The Hierophant. That's an interesting Hierophant card. Oh gosh. Pluto is effing everything up. All right. So I am gonna go to this screen real quick and collect these. So this is Virgo. Mercury at 20 degrees Virgo. That's 20 to 21. Right? An automobile caravan. An automobile caravan. And then 23 is an animal trainer. Oh, I got this right. Yeah, so when I click it, it gives interpretations. An automobile caravan, Virgo, 19 to 20 degrees. So this, because I want 20 to 21. So I should have clicked this. I'm already overwhelmed. I can't do this. It ends in the one. So it's actually the previous one. This is where I can, like I said, this is where I can get mixed up in the Sabian symbols, depending on how it's presented at the source. So this is a girls' basketball team. Girls' basketball team. And then it would be Mary and her white lamb, because that'll be the 23 to 24. And it acts like when I click on them, they actually do. So, like for Mary and her white lamb, where the average of where Virgo sits, where Mercury sits on average, the spiritual practice of innocence, the more we progress in spiritual maturity, the more we radiate childlike qualities and purity of spirit. The spiritual practice of innocence, again, despite having a nobility of demeanor and powerful will, the more advanced seeker is able to radiate innocence and purity, holding on to a childlike simplicity of being. This protects us from attachment to pride and also softens all the situations we encounter, adding a spontaneity and lightness of being to life. I'm just like, I don't know how I feel about this. I'll put the blurbs. Let me pop out the chat so I can keep reading. I'm hurting my own brain. So I'm going to, because there's a little like thing I'm gonna capture the header and the footer. So for Virgo 21, it says when I click it, it's like because it lists all of them, and then when I actually click it, it says Virgo 21, 20 degrees to 21 degrees. So this is a girls' basketball team. Is this accurate? Did they have Did they have any basketball in like the 1600s when the Sabian symbols were supposedly channeled or developed or whatever? Now I gotta consult the book anyway. I should have just stuck to the rivers and streams that I'm used to. Just gotta find it. Here it is. Crosses of the Sabian symbols. Let's see. Let's go to Virgo. Oh, see, they changed so much in here. Oh, there we go. It's because I never use this anymore. Virgo, 20 to 21 degrees. A girls' basketball team. Yeah, it's the same. What's interesting is Pisces 20 to 21 degrees is a little white lamb. A child. Oh, girl. They were advanced enough to have girls' basketball, but ooh, goodness. It's fine. The little white lamb is what stuck out to me because of Mary and her white lamb at 23 degrees of Virgo. No, I'm like, well, what's in Pisces? Is anything in Pisces 20 to 21? Neptune is too late for that. And that'll be before, yeah, that sun isn't going to be 20 degrees Virgo in a week. Okay, well, it's right. So I'm going to keep going. So, yeah, let me see. I'm going to pop out the chat. See, that's the one thing, though. It does make these videos a lot longer when I don't do all of this beforehand, but that's fine. Let's do one of these. And one of these. And one of these. Ooh. Okay. I should just make like little documents because these sticky notes, especially when it comes to stuff, you know what? I'm going to do it. Because when it comes to stuff like this, it's not really as helpful. What is this? Whatever it is, it's gone. No, remove the files. Okay. All right. So let me try to salvage what remains of my sanity. So we have Mercury, and then Uranus, and then not Neptune, Pluto. The average was 23.667. And Mercury, we'll say 20 and then 23. Uranus, 23. Pluto, 28, 23. So this was Taurus, Capricorn, and Virgo. There we go. All right. I should have just did this in the first place, but no, I know I can just do this moving forward. So this is, a girls basketball team. We have receptivity to collective forces, and then putting community goals above personal ambition, which feels like it's going to be in direct contrast to North Node Aries, South Node Libra. Or it's like at least it'll be easy to see it that way. So now let's go to 23. This was Mary and her white lamb. Mary had a little lamb, little lamb, little lamb. I feel like I should use the wild unknown animal spirits and pull before and after the white lamb. No. The spiritual, oh wait, I forgot the type of thing. Mary and her white lamb. The spiritual practice of innocence. The spiritual practice of innocence. They're the same. All right, now we're starting to move. And I figure these out as I go along. That's what I say, like, all right, see you later, Eve. I'm excited to see what's next now that the Wolf series has concluded. Wait, did you already? No, you did. The paint chips, right? I'm pretty sure. Did you? I mean, you said you were gonna do it for somebody. Maybe it came out for one of them. I don't remember. I'm curious to see how this pans out too, because okay. that was this. Now let's head on over to Taurus. Taurus 23. So this is 23 to 24. No. Taurus 22 to 23 degrees is a jewelry shop, which is interesting because in the Venus Black Moon Lilith conjunction at the last time I did this, I think Venus was heading back to a jewelry shop. And it was carrying an energy of like adorning oneself on the outside in order to appear in a certain way. Oh, come on. Why does it got to be like that? So Uranus is giving us channeled aggression. I mean, I guess it happened, so channeled aggression. Pluto and Capricorn. There we go. Now we go over to Capricorn. Capricorn, corn, Capricorn, corn, Capricorn, corn, Capricorn, corn. So Capricorn is women reading tea leaves. Oh, I could use the tea leaf oracle cards. This is interpretation of spiritual messages, interpretation of subtle spiritual messages, facts, and opinions. Struggling today. Interpretation was getting me. And then 23 degrees of Capricorn is a woman entering a convent. Dedication to spiritual expression and affirming community support for spiritual seekers. Okay. What's interesting right off the bat is like how many women in like feminine energies. Well, yeah, women. A girls' basketball team, Mary and her white lamb, woman reading tea leaves, and a woman entering a convent. The only one that doesn't mention, well, unless it's an Indian woman, then, that's on me for assuming a mounted Indian would be a man. I feel like I've often seen them depicted. Not to say that there wasn't. Maybe we're going to be uncovering. Anyway, so this is all done. I don't know what I'm doing with this. I'm like, is this Sabian symbol thing a good idea? We'll see. Excuse me. Oh, it's here. Duh. Okay. So I have restored this, I think. There we go. Now I'm back. Bring this up. Shrink this down. There we go. Here we go. Okay, so those are our Sabian symbols. I'm going to pull these cards now. I want one card to go in the middle for all of these. Do I have a feminine oracle deck? Because of all the woman, Mary and her lamb, woman. Maybe I'll do that part last. So first I'm going to use the in-between tarot to pull the 3 cards. One for Mercury, one for Uranus, one for Pluto. So for Mercury, oh, I said one. That's too many. I am actually gonna, stick to my guns today. Still too many. Let's see. 40 minutes. It took me 40 minutes to get this far into the video. It makes sense. Yeah, this is going to be a time stamper. Oh, there. Oh, wow. Look at that. Look at that. It's like she's in my mind. Thank you, Kirsty. Okay. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut this 3 ways. Oh, stop it. This page of coins is interesting, though. The page of coins was actually one of the cards that came out, but it was like multiple. And I was like, I said 1, so I didn't take it. But like I said earlier, it was the Seeker of Coins, aka the Page of Coins and the Threads of Fate that came out. But in that coin, and pretty much this one, it's the point where when we begin to apply the knowledge and wisdom that we've gained up until this point to our processes, how it leads us to this space where like she's creating these pentacles, right? Like changing her world or whatever. I'm doing the best I can with the fraction of brain cells I have working. I mean, I'm not, but like, I don't know. I feel like someday it won't take me this long. Let's see where I'm going. All right, so this is Mercury, this is Uranus, this is Pluto. I'm just going to flip right off the top. So Uranus is the Queen of Wands. Who's taking this bird's eye view? Between the Queen and King of Wands. Pluto is the Wheel of Fortune heading into justice. Between the Wheel of Fortune and justice. And then Mercury is the Page of Coins going into the Knight of Coins. Okay, we get it. 3rd time I've seen that card. And I did go looking for Mercury first, so. The Before Tarot. So I need 3 cards leading up to this. That's Mary and her white lamb, by the way. So this is Mary and her white lamb. This is the Taurus one. And then this one is a woman entering a convent. Because that's how I'm doing this. I should bring snacks. I don't have any peanuts. Okay. Oh my gosh. Page of Pentacles again. This is okay. First card leading up to the Page of Pentacles is the Page of Pentacles. What's interesting so the interesting thing about this is though, on this Page of Pentacles we see the sunflowers. Typically the Queen of Wands is depicted with sunflowers. So we see that Mercury is already working with Uranus, which is pretty darn cool. All right, I'm less annoyed now. Not that I should be annoyed, but the 2 cards, nice. We have leading up to that Page of Pentacles, the King of Pentacles, and the Queen of Swords. So that's the 3 leading up to this one, and now I need 5 cards after the Wheel of Fortune and um, the Wheel of Fortune and the Wheel of Fortune going into Justice. Oh, okay. 4 of Swords with the Lovers. This Roman numeral, so at the top it is like IVVI, Ivy, or Iwi. If the 2 V's make a W, W, W. All right, I need 3 more. Ooh, title card. And it came out with this side face up rather than this side. We can see the full sort of like walking out of this. It's almost like the edge of a cliff. There was like a portal. Two more. 8 of Wands. And last. Ooh. Wow, I love how cooperative these are. The Queen of Swords again. Okay. Bottom of this deck for Pluto is the 5 of Wands. Bottom of Pluto's pile or stack is the Lovers into the Chariot, and the Lovers actually came out. And then we have this like movement. These cards of like movement, you know, and speed. Movement at speed. The bottom of the Uranus little stack is Justice into the Hanged Man. And again, Pluto came out with the Wheel of Fortune into Justice. And then the bottom of Mercury's is the 5 of Swords into the 6 of Swords. And the 2 of Wands. So, what does this mean? What are we doing? I don't know. I'm actually going to get. I almost want to get a Wild Unknown archetype because it feels like there is a Anima Mundi. I don't have that deck anymore either. Now I'm like, oh, let me use all the decks that I've gifted away. I would have used the Enchanted Map Oracle, but I just gifted that one like a week ago. Okay, so at the center of all of this, we have Mary and her white lamb being the Page of Pentacles into the Knight of Coins. And this is a spiritual practice of innocence. So there is behind Mercury and the Mercury retrograde receptivity to collective forces, putting community goals above personal ambition. there is an energy of, it's honest, like I guess you could call it like tapping into the inner child. But if I could hold a thought, I feel like my brain is a sieve and thoughts are like water. Um, it's like as we're manifesting or as we're looking, maybe considering opportunities, and as we are approaching obstacles and challenges, real or perceived, it's almost like it's for us to take a beginner's mind approach. It's like to not be jaded, which is interesting because, again, it was that like using the wisdom that we've gained from the past to unlock new things moving forward. And so maybe it is a little of like prepare for the worst, but hope for the best. But maybe instead of prepare for the worst, it's almost like try not to go in with an attachment to specific outcomes, because what needs to happen will happen. And it can be like much better. I think it's also for us to be like fairly grounded in it. And that is like with the bottom of these decks, it is very like leaving one way of being behind and entering one that's brand new, right? Between the 5 and the 6 of swords, and then it's the 2 of wands before. It feels like the 2 of wands is still choosing a direction, like almost throwing a dart at the map or at the globe. And it's like wherever it lands is where like you'll go, or where we'll go type energy. What's interesting though is that there's this king of wands, or this king of pentacles, and the queen of swords. King of pentacles, queen of swords, that create this page of pentacles. And it's like there's something that the king of swords isn't able to attain or achieve, and that's why the pentacle is still floating above his head. And it's the queen of swords that helps him see things in a different way. But it's almost like, because it feels like the king of pentacles, it's like there's a fruit on a vine or whatever, and the king of pentacles, like it's too hard to cut, so it's like the king of pentacles can't cut the fruit loose, and so he goes to this queen of swords. Oops. And the queen of swords, in her knowledge and wisdom, knows that it's not one to be cut. It's like instead of trying to cut it loose or whatever, you just like walk up and pull it. And I don't know if that speaks to resistance to certain forces. So it's almost like if it were like a video game or something, if it were like an RPG, it's like its cutting resistance would be high. Like it's nearly impossible to cut, but like its blunt resistance is low. Even though like pulling something and like, I don't know. And that makes me think of, that's very like Taurus's Lafruma reading. In the Lafruma series, it was like, don't go waving that sword around or whatever. And that's interesting because at that point, it was like it could be pulling on the North Node and Taurus energy. but the North Node is in Aries now. But again, this Page of Pentacles has been coming out, or it came out the other day, as that applying knowledge and wisdom that we've already gained to a current situation to get a new outcome. So it could be something that we've learned in the past. Like, how long has the North Node been in Aries? 24 to 18 months. More specifically, like while the North Node was in Taurus, there could have been something that we learned. While the South Node was in Scorpio, there could have been a truth that we realized about how we approach certain situations. So it's almost like whenever we enter a situation with a certain expectation and we act and behave in a way to validate that and create that negative self-fulfilling whatever, so that the outcome is one that we don't desire. Like if that's something that we learned in South Node Scorpio, North Node Taurus, then right now would be the time, while in this Mercury retrograde, apparently in this retrograde grand trine in Earth, it's like now would be the time to apply all of that as we move forward and as the potential for new opportunity presents itself. On the Uranus side of things, so the Sabian symbol is a mounted Indian with scalp locks. Oof, not the locks. Sorry. Oh, look. There's justice on the mount. They had it coming. They had it coming. They only had them. Oh, look, there's death. Death into temperance behind justice into the hangman. That's 11, 12, 13, 14 in these two cards. And also under this 5 of swords is temperance into the devil. I didn't see that when I pulled it up. But that devil can be avoided. I think, and again, that's this choosing a new or different direction. Under that is this Page of Swords. Somebody had that energy when we read in the SpongeBob, Patrick and SpongeBob, because I remember mentioning like the Page of Swords and the vice versa, and how there was like a lark or something that was leading the Page of Swords, showing the way through a storm or something like that. So this is channeled aggression. And it's the Queen of Wands into the King of Wands. This is making me think of that same deck, the Threads of Fate Tarot, and how in that deck in particular, the Ruler of Wands it's like almost like it's the Wheel of Fortune, and then there's like an Ouroboros on it. And in that deck in particular, the Ouroboros symbolizes for me like keeping one's ego in check. It's the one that can like self-regulate their ego, basically. Which would be very like in that channeled aggression. It would make it easier. I almost wonder if there isn't something that's long overdue here. And that can be a thing with Uranus and Taurus too, potentially, of course, because everything is potential. But it's like it's the changing of things that are long overdue rather than it being this sudden, unexpected disrupt to our daily lives and perceived normality. It can be like things that have been long on the menu It's almost like a maintenance request that you put in and they don't get to it until like months later. And so one day, like, you come home and everything's different, or you come home and they're working on something, or you come home and the water's shut off so that they can fix whatever. And it's like it's really playing on this justice into the hanged man. And because justice is there, we know that um, there's going to be a fair outcome. Like, that's not a hanged man that's hanging for false accusations or something like that, right? That's someone who committed the crime that they're accused of. And with death into temperance, it's like it's things that are ending that will lead to a greater peace and stability, which again plays on that Five of Swords into the Six of Swords energy. Now, this Queen of Wands and her top down view, it is bringing in an energy of like, because of this, it's knowing, trusting, and believing that the universe, the divine, is always working in your benefit. If there's anything leaving your life, then it's doing so for the establishment of peace and something better. But it is like it's this bigger picture thinking when it comes to Uranus and Taurus retrograde. Almost like taking a step back to see how, um, I mean, I guess like it's also like not taking things personally. But again, it's like taking a step back to see how things can work out for the better overall. It's like it might suck in the moment and it may be very much so less than desired, but it's a belief and a knowing that something good is going to happen or it's for the right reasons. Now, there is this like greenish blue, turquoisey, seafoam green type of color around her. So it's given me like heart into the throat, I guess, type energy. Could be like tough love from the divine. It could be tough love that we need to show and exhibit because we may be pulled in different directions. And that might play on this Page of Pentacles into the Knight of Pentacles, like shifting and changing direction. That also came out in, so the read was like the Page of Pentacles, or the Seeker of Coins, the Four of Wands, and the Five of Wands. And then interestingly enough, the Ruler of Wands was at the bottom of the deck, which is the one I was talking about with this channeled aggression, how it has the Ouroboros on top of the Wheel of Fortune. And that's like when something good is happening, again, going back to what we may have discovered while the South Node was in Scorpio, more specifically than the North Node being in Taurus, how we can sort of like jeopardize and sabotage opportunities, right? It's like if you have a lot of great ideas or a lot of like decent leadership qualities, but a garbage personality. Maybe I shouldn't maybe I shouldn't have, but it's like if people don't want to work with you, then no one's going to help you. It doesn't matter how good your idea is. It doesn't matter. Like nothing matters if people don't want to work with you and you need a team of people to accomplish something. So like if you're the person that's like, don't you idiots understand how good of an opportunity this would be? Those idiots probably don't care. Those idiots would rather go work for somebody who's like nicer. You know what I mean? Work with someone who's more cooperative. So also maybe the channeled part of this channeled aggression is Uranus asking us, or basically strongly encouraging us to keep ourselves in check and to keep ourselves in line. And if we know that like when we're put under pressure, then we can say some like mean or nasty things, then maybe we want to be more mindful of our tongue or if we know that we can be hypercritical, or if we can be perceived as hypercritical, maybe we want to spend a little bit of time thinking about how we will deliver whatever it is that we need to deliver. Maybe there's a way that we can provide constructive feedback that isn't as harsh, that will be received a little better, to keep the whole functioning, and to reduce the chance of splintering, because feelings and personality differences and a whole bunch of other stuff comes in the way. Now, on the other hand, it's like, if you know that you are sensitive to criticism, then also keep that in mind, especially if you can tell that the person delivering the criticism is doing so, is making an attempt to do it from a constructive and gentler way. They're not being intentionally harsh, which again is keeping our own ego in check. It's keeping our feelings in check. But it's so much of a knowing of who we are and how we take things. So that can help us not take it so personally. And that can help us see past our own feelings and desires to gain that sort of bigger picture perspective. So Uranus is kind of sort of low key asking for a lot. It's like, I hope you're not attached to your hair because I'm taking it. Oh, that is this one. Because I saw somebody, it was a video maybe a week ago, I don't know, of someone getting a haircut. Well, first there was a father that got his son's haircut, and then he surprised the mom and she cried. And then there was a video of a woman who was getting her haircut and she cried. That attachment to hair when it gets cut. And I don't necessarily think that it's one that only women have, but I've seen it more with women who cry when they get a haircut. Probably because of America's Next Top Model. And the models who were like, I hope my makeover doesn't include me getting a haircut. And it does. I mean, it takes time. Hair will grow back, yeah, but it takes time for it to grow that long. You know what I mean? And it's not to say, because, I've also seen men who will grow a beard and get it cut and feel emotional because they haven't seen themselves in a certain type of way for a long time or whatever, So again, it's not something that's unique to women. But a girls' basketball team marrying her white lamb, woman reading tea leaves, and a woman entering a convent. Those are 5 out of 6 of the Sabian symbols. And if this Indian is a woman, then it could be a woman on a horse with scalp locks. So I think also the scalp locks is because the growth of hair can be associated with wisdom. It can be associated with power in a Samsonian type of way. There may be, again, there is a little bit of relearning or unlearning or providing space for a new learning. And the Mercury retrograde part of this with the Page of Coins, and especially with the Page of Coins coming after the King of Pentacles and Queen of Swords. And then that page is going into a night. It's it's a new way of doing certain things, and that's moving forward. But also with that almost demotion of king and queen to the page, that's the sacrifice and power. But it's almost like we're restarting, or we're being asked to reevaluate in the element of earth. And this grand retrograde trine is happening in earth. But this Queen of Wands is transitioning towards the King of Wands. Which is interesting because earth is a feminine element and fire is a masculine element. So it's the feminine is almost going back while the masculine is moving forward. But in a feminine way, because it's the queen that's sort of getting that promotion. Well, it's also this feminine here because it's, the page that's becoming the knight. Maybe there's also this, like, from this bigger picture point of view, especially, like, we can realize and recognize that it's not all or nothing, right? It's like in a situation where, like, you're providing an idea or something and someone's like, I don't necessarily like that idea. It's like, that's one bad idea. It doesn't mean that somebody hates you if they don't like your idea or if they disagree. It doesn't mean that someone thinks that you're stupid or dumb if they have an opinion and viewpoint of their own. You know what I mean? So again, it's like, it just feels like Uranus is asking us not to take a lot of things personally. And so maybe we are sort of offered a different, maybe we're offered an opportunity to step away from one thing and to walk towards some other things. And that's like, it's not necessarily saying that what we were doing was wrong, but maybe at the moment, as of now, there's something that's more of a fit for whatever future we're heading in towards. So with Pluto in Capricorn, the woman entering a convent is the wheel of fortune into justice. And I feel like justice is really speaking to that, like, convent type of energy. Like, that's speaking to the faith and the righteousness and stuff like that, right? Holiness. Because it's justice. And that would be, I feel like sometimes that's a little bit more tower, but it is wheel of fortune, the nature of a change. Like, there was the life outside of the convent, and then there's life inside of the convent, and all of the rules and regulations and stipulations that apply. But I feel like a lot of that stuff, like, a woman would know up front. That's not, that's at least how it's reading. It's not like you enter the convent and then there are all of these rules and things that you can't do that you didn't even know about. You know what I mean? For the most part, there are some things that you're going to be sacrificing and giving up when you enter. And so it's very, like, no hidden fees, no, or like confusing terms and stuff like that. It is almost like a lot of stuff being laid out on the table. But because it's this wheel of fortune, I'm almost like led to believe that we know those things again because of whatever we've learned in the past 18 to 24 months. While South Node was in Scorpio, North Node was in Taurus most specifically. Right? If you had no idea of what, like, a convent, and when I hear convent, I'm thinking nuns. I'm pretty sure that's right. I'm gonna be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's right. So, like, I guess if you've never seen a nun, to know that, they're not necessarily supposed to have physical relationships with men. Now, nuns and other nuns, I don't know. What happens in the convent stays in the convent. Um, and that was probably, like, rude AF. I'm sorry. Um, but, like, that's one of the things that they have to give up. Right? And it's not that they don't necessarily experience carnal desire, but they've committed themselves to not, I guess, in a way, not being controlled by it. And that would feed back into the Queen of Wands, into the King of Wands, like, having one's ego under control or not being completely ruled by one's desires, being able to go, you know what, I'm really craving chocolate cake today, but I'm not going to eat it because I'm going to go for the salad. Because in the long run, or at least for the right now, the salad is more beneficial to me. Right. So yeah, but that part, but it's like, if you've never seen a nun or if you didn't know that, then maybe it could come as a surprise, all of the things that you have to give up. Like, it feels like it shouldn't. And that's why I'm like, again, it's like, if there's something that you've come into a knowing or understanding of recently, that's probably your, like, the terms and conditions have already been outlined. Now, if you don't know what the past 24 to 18 months have been guiding you or leading you towards, because maybe it's been difficult to discern, or because it's almost like if you missed it, then maybe you missed it. So it's like it is possible that something could come out of the blue, but it feels like for the most part, it would be something that there's like an inkling of because of the wisdom that we've gained. Now, yeah, so a woman entering a convent, dedication to spiritual expression, affirming community support for spiritual seekers. Um, so I guess also with that Wheel of Fortune, because of that, it's almost like it's something to be, I don't know if the thing itself is to be shared or if the acquisition of the thing puts one in a position to give back to the community in some way or to be a source of support for their loved ones in some way, right? So what you get, you might not necessarily give exactly, but you'll be in a position to assist. And it's interesting because that affirming community support for spiritual seekers feels like it plays on that receptivity to collective forces, putting community goals above one's personal ambition. So that's the girls' basketball team. So now, Pluto is playing with Mercury. Well, Pluto, like averaged Pluto at the 23, is more directly playing with where Mercury is. And when Pluto was at 23 degrees Capricorn, I have my phone right here. I can look and see. That might have been a while ago because Pluto was so slow. So I don't even know if there was a time when the South Node was in Scorpio that Pluto would have been at 23 degrees. Let's go back to 2019. No, because that was Cancer. That was Cancer, Capricorn into Gemini, Sagittarius. And then after Gemini, Sagittarius would have been Taurus. And I think that was like January of that year that it entered. Let's see. Where are my nodes at? Hold up. South Node Libra. Hold up. This ain't right. North Node Aries. 2023 is this year. That was like January. Hold up. Because it was May. It was like May 2020 where the node shifted into Gemini Sagittarius. So January 2022. Is that what I said? January 2022, 2934 Taurus. So yeah, it was in January or around that time at least that it switched. Pluto at that time was 26 degrees Capricorn. So not at 23. So let's go back a little further. I'm just curious to see when Pluto was here. So January 20th, 2020, Pluto was at 23 degrees Capricorn. It's 23 degrees in 3 minutes, but because of Pluto's retrograde cycles, I don't know if like that's the first. Oh, snap, hold up. Because Saturn was exactly conjunct Pluto in Capricorn at 23 degrees. Jupiter was in Capricorn at 11 degrees. So that was before the Saturn Jupiter conjunction at 0 degrees of Aquarius, when Pluto was roughly 23 degrees. And on this day, the sun was 0 degrees of Aquarius. So in Patrick's world, Pluto was the mastermind behind the Saturn Jupiter conjunction in Aquarius, because it was like first Saturn conjuncted Pluto, and then it went into Aquarius, and then Jupiter conjuncted, or Jupiter was closing in on Pluto. And then it's like as Jupiter was moving closer to Pluto, Saturn was retrograding from Aquarius back into Capricorn to sort of tighten that conjunction between all three of them. And as Saturn was retrograding, Pallas Athena was retrograding Aquarius back into Capricorn. Or she was retrograding closer to where Jupiter and Pluto were going to conjunct to. And it was that energy of like, if you didn't catch it when Saturn conjuncted Pluto, like now that the Jupiter-Pluto conjunction is happening, like as Saturn's retrograding to tighten that conjunction, Pallas Athena is going to do it too. She's going to introduce an element of strategy. So anyway, that would have been when Pluto was at that 23. Dedication to spiritual expression, affirming community support for spiritual seekers, a woman entering a convent. So this could be something that has been in the works since that point in time, roughly when Saturn and Jupiter had that conjunction, like leading up to the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction on Aquarius, more specifically being anyway. Interpretation of spiritual messages, interpretation of subtle spiritual message, facts, and opinions is the wheel into justice. I think that woman reading tea leaves, it's almost like looking at being more aware of how the wheel is turning and spinning and moving, and almost like where it's going to stop or where it's going to land. And it's like the Wheel of Fortune can be difficult sometimes. It's like it can be difficult sometimes to know exactly how things are going to play out. But the woman reading tea leaves is like there are indicators and subtle signs and things that can reveal in part at least what's more likely to happen and what's more likely to occur. Now, the woman entering a convent is the Four of Swords. This could be her literally saying goodbye to her past life as a woman not in the convent. And then the commitment of the lovers, her entering this brand new sort of world and brand new space in the title card. And again, so that would be like knowing what she's going to have to give up, but not necessarily knowing what it is that she's going to gain. And for us as humans, sometimes it can be very difficult for us to give something up, even if we know that it's not great for us, without knowing what we're going to gain. Right? It's like we want to know what we're going to win before we start losing. We don't take bets that we don't even know like the payout for. Right? It's like you want to get, it's almost like because someone could want $50 from you for a chance at winning 3. And then we're like, well, that wouldn't make sense. Why would I give up 50 guaranteed that I already have for a chance at gaining 3? That puts me at a 47 net loss. Like, hello? Then we have the 8 of Wands and this Queen of Swords. Now, the 8 of Wands in the after tarot, this is very like a relay. Because it's like this is the message coming in, and as soon as the archer sees the sign, he releases the arrow. Could be Sagittarius energy. Doesn't necessarily have to be. No. So it would have just moved. Hold up. North Node was in Cancer at that point in time. When Pluto was. Now I got to look and see if now I got to go to May 2020 to see if Pluto was still there. So Pluto was retrograde Capricorn 24 degrees when the node switched from Cancer Gemini to, May 2020. The South Node is in Sagittarius. And Pluto was 24 retrograde Capricorn. Jupiter is 27 retrograde Capricorn. Pallas Athena is 0 retrograde Aquarius. Saturn is 1 retrograde Saturn. So Pluto was almost like pulling everything back to this point. So now I got to look and see when Pluto is going to be at that 23, while the South Node, 22 went too far. While the South Node is Sagittarius. What, did Pluto just no, here it is. So 20 July 2020, Jupiter is 21 retrograde. Pallas is fast because she went from 0 degrees Aquarius all the way back to 19 Capricorn. So Pallas Athena 19 degrees retrograde Capricorn, Jupiter 21 degrees retrograde Capricorn, Pluto 23 retrograde Capricorn, Saturn 28 retrograde Capricorn. Saturn retrograde 28 Capricorn is sitting where Pluto is now retrograde. Pluto is sitting retrograde in the spot of this average. Everything in Capricorn was retrograde at that point. South Node was 28 degrees, 57 minutes, so basically 29. But 28 degrees Sagittarius at that point. What else was happening? That was after a new moon Cancer. That one might have been a solar eclipse. I almost think it was. It might not have been. Because the moon is 0 degrees Leo, sun is 28 degrees Cancer, and this is at 3:32 p.m. Central. So that was the day of the new moon Cancer. Venus was moving towards the North Node in Gemini. Uranus was 10 degrees Taurus. Mars was 12 degrees Aries in a loose conjunction and a separating conjunction with Chiron. Okay, anyway. Excuse me. Oh, Sagittarius, 8 of Wands. I was like, why was I looking for Sagittarius? So then that brings in the retrograde cycle previous to the Taurus Scorpio. So I gave it a window of 18 to 24 months because of the South Node, North Node, Scorpio, Taurus. But it could go back even further from that. What's interesting is the direction that this Fool is heading in. But it's like because it's the title card too, because the Fool is heading back in the direction of the past, while the 8 of Wands is like looking at the direction of the future. But because it's the title card, instead of it being just a Fool card, that's bringing forward, a possible energy of like sometimes in order to go forward, we must go back. Especially when it comes to like those moments and times where we're asked to make choices and decisions that we need a certain amount of clarity on. Because sometimes that clarity comes from the past. Sometimes that clarity is like every time I'm in this situation, this is what I do. It feels like there may be a perception of like things never work out for me because every time this opportunity is presented, it falls apart. Clarity in that situation might be when I'm presented with opportunities like this, I get insecure and I start to question my own worth and value. And I start to do this and I behave like that. I start to exhibit these behaviors and make choices and decisions that now I can recognize as sabotaging those opportunities. So it's not that it didn't necessarily work out for me because God hates me or whatever. It's because I would make these choices and decisions when I would have moments of not feeling worthy or good enough. But now with that clarity to move this forward, I've like done the healing. Well, literally, like that healing has happened. All of those old patterns and behaviors that don't promote a healthy, expanding life, I can put to bed, I can put to rest, I can make better choices and decisions in the now moment to actually speed this up and add to the momentum of it moving forward, rather than to counterplay the wheel and stop it. And it's almost like that will be the moment in time where the change of this Queen of Swords, that like the one that was like, it's not to cut it, it's to pull it because it's resistant to cutting. It is extremely resistant to cutting and surprisingly so easy to just pull right off the vine. Like it's so hard to cut, you think it's impossible. But again, it's almost like this thing that we never would have necessarily tried before either. This is after the Five of Wands. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Look at this. So the before and after tarot is interesting because sometimes I read it as before leading up to, sometimes I read it as after post. Sometimes I try to look at it for what it's showing in that moment. And in this moment, in this Five of Wands, they're not actively fighting each other. So at this moment, there may be a lot of tension. This may be the moment where like there's a common goal, or these folks are being asked to cooperate, and they each have their own idea of like how it should move forward. Now, if they can't have a conversation, when it starts to become yelling and I'm right, you're wrong, that's when it gives us the typical Five of Swords of like conflict and combat and competition and stuff like that. But it's like in this moment, if they can have that sort of like ego control, then it actually leads them, like, because the King of Wands is basically behind the Five of Wands. And so I'm trying to like, because again, the King of Wands is the one in that deck that I just gifted that I don't even have anymore. But I saw that ruler of one. It's like they realize that they don't have to fight. And it actually, if you look at the wand in the King of Wands, it grows more in the absence of that. And then you can start to see, or you can imagine like what that wand is going to look like by its end. And then under that King of Wands is this Eight of Swords where she's being cut free. And it's like, again, it's because conversation and cooperation can be had rather than competition and showboating and stuff like that. Then there's the Six of Swords under that where she's actually landed. We have this 5 into the 6 up here in Mercury. So I'm not surprised that, like, there's so much interplay between all of these, but that in essence is what a grand trine is. How they're all working positively, or not even positively, but it's almost like they're working more harmoniously and synergistically in a way that's easy to see rather than it being like more challenging, you know? Or rather than it being like, well, this is happening and that's happening, and I can't think of any possible way that these could be like happening for like to not be in competition in that juxtaposition. So there's our King of Wands. Yeah, exactly. When they all meet at the top, then you just drape drape the thing over it. And again, with this Queen of Swords, it's like that's the thing. It's the butterfly at the tip of the sword. That's the thing that changes. And because this is Pluto, it's probably like very deeply rooted within us. Like Pluto isn't necessarily like topical. Pluto isn't necessarily like surface level. Pluto isn't tip of the iceberg. Pluto is the sinking of Titanic because the engineers or whoever should have made their checks or whatever before they left. Like they shouldn't have thought it was unsinkable because it's big. Now, I'm sure it was a feat of engineering for the time, but you know, nature. Woof. Anyway. So I almost don't even think I need something at the middle of this to like sort of symbolize this. I'll pull a wild on alchemy though. So yeah, I mean, because even when I was reading it, I didn't necessarily want to put a time on how long ago that those opportunities for wisdom could have come in. And it's like, it's, I mean, but that's the will of life. Things continue to build upon one another. And when we go back to one thing, you know, we can see how that was often sometimes predated by another. So, all righty. So one card that sits at the middle of all of this, and this grand retrograde Earth trine, the alchemical process that most closely symbolizes whatever is Sanguis and Stanum. Bottom of the deck is Argentum Vivum Quicksilver, featuring Mercury. We have Blood and Tin. It's almost like a blood, sweat, and tears type energy, but not. There's something piezoelectric about tin. It's like under pressure, then it emits light, then it emits sound, then it starts to. It shows how like magical it is under pressure. So this is almost, because of the pressure of tin, it's giving me like a blood clot, but not like a blood clot in an art, but like something is stopping, like the bleeding is stopping. It's staunching the bleeding. Is that the word? Stanum, staunching the bleeding. so that we don't bleed out. And blood is literally our life force. Because when you run out of it, you're done. And that's because it carries oxygen throughout the body. And it's because of hemoglobin and iron that it can do that. The pulse, physicality, the body. Have no fear of the blood card. It indicates a remembrance of the vital mammalian nature of our existence. Drop by drop, this sacred elixir reminds us that we are alive, not merely thinking beings, but being beings. When blood is the prima materia in the laboratory, the alchemist uses the physical body as the starting point, building a relationship to the container that houses the spirit. Through the limbs, the organs, the cells, we witness the miracle of life, one heartbeat at a time. Eventually, the alchemist naturally partakes in practices that support and nourish blood's life-giving nature. We learn to honor and protect it. In alchemy, red is the color of vitality and radiance. With this card, you've dropped into the vital realm. Sing the body's praises. And then Stanum. This is malleable, expansive, and Jupiter. Jupiter is in Taurus. When does Jupiter retrograde? Hold up. Jupiter is in an Earth energy. Is that the only other planet in an Earth energy? Let's see. No. Well, I don't know when Mars is going to enter Libra. Pluto in Capricorn. Oh, there's Pallas Athena. Mercury and Mars in Virgo. And then Jupiter and Uranus in Taurus. When was this? It was the 20. I don't remember. At like 9:11 p.m. Hold up. 2025. And 2035. How did I go from 2023 to 2035? Hello? I was like, where did Uranus go? Uranus isn't in Taurus anymore. What's happening? Jupiter is still in Taurus, but Uranus has vanished? No way. I don't believe it. Now I'm going like day by day. Uranus, when are you retrograding? I already forgot. Okay, so Mars will be in Libra. Mars is going to be in Libra when that Uranus retrograde happens, or at least on the 29th, Mars is going to be in Libra. So the only other Earth energy will be Jupiter. But the sun will be in Virgo. Pallas Athena will still be. Pallas Athena is actually going to be at 23 degrees Virgo. And Pluto will still be the only thing in Capricorn. So anyway, Jupiter in Taurus assisting Uranus, I guess. I don't know. 10 is a silvery white. Ooh, silvery with quicksilver at the bottom of the deck. Silvery white, highly malleable metal. This is in part because 10's structure is composed of crystals and cubic or tetragonal formations that can be broken or crushed under moderate pressure. When the crystalline structure breaks, a sound known as the tin cry can be heard, hence the unnerving sound of crinkling tin foil. Such is the energy of the tin card. On one hand, it is in tin's Jupiterian nature to expand, to mobilize, to cover the whole territory. On the other hand, the metal cannot withstand much weight or pressure. When this card appears, you may have reached a limit or breaking point after taking on more than is logistically possible under the circumstances. Don't take this juncture personally. More strength is required before taking next steps to support the expansion you see in your mind's eye. Now that is interesting. That how 10 could be easy, how the bonds in 10, the cubic and tetragonal formations, can be broken or crushed under moderate pressure. Because that was this again, where like it's easier to pull off of the vine than it is to like cut it. They're broken under pressure. They're not broken due to like a shear force or whatever. And then Argentum Vivum, Quicksilver. There's Argentum Silver. No, the Quicksilver. This is slippery, mobile, and Mercury. Well, here's Mercury. And then Venus is under Mercury, but anyway. Part liquid and part metal, Quicksilver, also known as Mercury, is a mesmerizing material. Its gift is to slip between worlds. It cannot be pinned down or easily defined. Mercury came to symbolize the god Hermes and the great hermetic secrets of alchemy, always sliding away into secrecy, just beyond the alchemist's grasp. It is said Mercury represents the transition between the physical and the unseen worlds, between life and death, between science and the esoteric. It is the metal of sacred thresholds. Shamanic practitioners of every tradition must acquire the ability to stand at the doorway between worlds. This is no small feat. The Mercury card indicates the querent has a particular gift for such a task. This is the work of the shaman, teacher, sage, artist, and alchemist. Heed the call of Quicksilver. The sacred threshold requires your attendance. There you go. Sacred threshold, speaking of transitioning. I mean, because it's all pentacles, it feels like a transition in like one level or type of experience in another. It could be, again, because it talked about more strength being required for us to expand into what we see in our mind's eye. It could be related to a vision that we've had for a long time. Something that we've since 2020, more specifically like December 2020? No, that wasn't December. July 2020. Just to say 2020. In our mind's eye, maybe there's something that we've seen ourselves like being in or a place or whatever in 2020. And since then, we've been acquiring resources. We've been learning different maybe choices and decisions that we make, beliefs that we have and hold that keep us from receiving it, situations we place ourselves in, factors in our environment and people in our lives or whatever. But it's like now is the time, while the North Node is in Aries, to start shifting the needle towards getting where we want to be. Because again, when the North Node shift into Pisces, it's like depending on what we did in North Node Aries, life could literally become better than we dreamed. But it's because of things that we did and choices and decisions that we made. And not necessarily to spite anyone else, like the South Node in Libra can be interpreted, of course. But it's under the knowing that, like, it's like when we are in a good position, we have more to give to help others. And we have more patience and more whatever. We can be of better service when we ourselves are in better health, in a better mood, and better financially situated. We can do more. It doesn't make us more generous to have more, because there are a lot of people with a whole bunch that is very of the mind of, well, I worked for this and I blah, 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 so you should too. I didn't receive, it wasn't easy for me, so why would I make it easier for anybody else? Yeah, because that type of mentality is going to get us to, it's fine. Anyway. All right. We have the moon and leucosis lightening. We are heading towards a full moon in Pisces, blue moon, right now. The moon is getting lighter. Also, that could be like the things in the moon getting lighter could be us like getting closer to something being experienced, like not hidden, not below the surface, like how the sun is going to be in Virgo and Jupiter is going to be in Taurus, but Mars is going to be in Libra. Like we'll see it type of energy. It's going to be less in the mind's eye, or less only perceivable by the mind's eye and more perceivable with the 3D natural physical eye. And then there's the star into the moon. I don't want to put reversals in here. Oh, did I assemble some of these in reverse? Wait, was that the only card in reverse? Because here's the Fool into the Magician. There you go. The Fool said, I can fly. You thought I was going to fall? Fool. Bet you didn't see that coming. I did not see that coming. Title card, indeed. He flew off the cliff. He didn't walk. Maybe you can fly too. Sorry. All right. In between tarot, final card. Final cards at 151. Reading start at 40. Ooh, we get two final cards and they come out face down. It is the 9 of Wands into the 10 of Wands and the 4 of Swords into the 5 of Swords. This makes me think of that 2 of Cups and how, and the 2 of Water and the Tarot of Dreams, and how, hey Steph, how you doing? And how on the left side there was like the sun that was peeking out, and there was the glow of the heart. That's what it was. It was the Ace of Water, and there was a glow around the heart, and then there was a glow between the 2 people and the 2 of Water, and there was like a glow all over the place. It's almost like it's reaching this spot within the self, this point within the self where we're much less easily swayed by circumstance. Like it doesn't matter what's happening outside, like that person sleeps in peace. They don't feel threatened by that presence, known or unknown, because that's moon energy. That isn't one of those, there's somebody lurking in the shadows that's like envious or jealous, or there's something conspiring to take your happiness and joy away from you or whatever. It's like, regardless of what's going on in the external world at this point, there's a confidence in the internal, in one's own light, internal light. And then there's this like 2 of Wands sort of energy here. It could be 10 because the Wands could continue. Well, they don't. I guess we'd see it, right? They're meeting, I guess, so that would be 5 because they're meeting at the V. So there's this 2 of Wands in it. Oh, because the 5 of Wands. We already saw that. And how it led to that King of Wands, where like he doesn't even have to hold it anymore and it's growing. And then that freedom and moving, landing the boat and the 8 of Swords and the 6 of Swords. This is very like, greater is he that is in me than the world type of energy. I'm doing all right. Hungry, but well. Bottom of the deck is the Ace of Wands into the 2 of Wands. So yeah, through these circumstances, but after that, whoo, look at her. There is like all of this, not all of this, because feminine energy was the heart of 4 out of 5 of these Sabian symbols. But here we see like the masculine or a masculine energy that is like assisting and helping that feminine to the point where she sees and knows within herself. Interesting. Cool. The hunger. Excuse me. Woo! Oh my gosh. I'm getting so hungry. I haven't eaten yet, I don't think. I mean, I just woke up not too long ago, so. Mercury, you get put away next. Before tarot. Before tarot, there were the Sabian symbols. I'm kidding. I don't know which came first. Ooh, the sun was just at the cut. Okay, come through all this solar energy. Sun was like, excuse me, I'm also in an earth sign. But the sun is always there. Even in the middle of the nighttime, the sun doesn't move anywhere. It's just that we turn away from it. And even on the cloudiest of days, the coldest of days, the sun is still there. It may be obscured or we may be tilted away from it so that we may not see it as brightly or feel its warmth as warmly. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. It's the Page of Coins, Page of Pentacles again. Again. I've seen this card constantly today. But I guess it just like it speaks to the power of the potential of new beginnings. But it's like it's starting now because it's the page and how we tend to it, how we care for it, but also how we go for it. Like go for those opportunities. Because it was that energy of like pulling it off the vine rather than cutting it. Because we might think that because we can't cut it, that it's not right. And it's never been right because we've never been able to cut it. It's one of those fruits that's like super hard until it's ready to be eaten. And it's just like, no, you just got to pull it. As long as you try to cut it, it will never, whatever. And that doesn't speak to the fruit, that speaks to the plant. It's just a plant that's resistant to blades. What was at the bottom of the deck? I didn't even look. It's fine. I think I did look, but I don't remember what it is. I was like, oh, it's that Page of Coins again. Okay, I get it. We're done. We're done here. Excuse me. All right. Oh, I see the Hermit. Yes. And the After Tarot. That's the snake. It's not necessarily an Ouroboros because it's not biting its own tail, but the Hermit's got it under control. And it's like it's us having our ego in check, but also like our emotions and our feelings and our fears and everything. And it's not like that we don't feel our feelings, but it's that we recognize that sometimes when we're feeling emotional, we're going to be more sensitive to criticism. Or like if we're feeling angry, then, or like however our emotions affect us in the moment, especially, it's being aware of that. so that we can factor those things in when we make choices and decisions, so that it doesn't impair our judgment as much, but it can empower and improve it. Empower our discernment. Uh, sure. But it's like empower in a way that like makes it more powerful, but also empower in a way that we can trust it, I guess. Anyway. All right, Pluto last. The Magician. This Magician got attitude. Bottom of the deck is the Page of Wands. So I've seen the Page of Coins, Page of Pentacles, obviously, but the Page of Swords was at the bottom of the deck behind whatever card was at the bottom of the deck. I don't remember. It was the 5 into the 6 of Swords, and whatever the other card for Mercury was, the Page of Swords was behind it. Here's our Page of Wands. This Magician is sassy to me because rather than the Magician holding on to any one element or any one tool and using that as the conductor of the other three or whatever, because in the before, it's like holding masculine energy. It's either the wand and the sword or one of them. But like this time, it's holding the candle. So it's almost like this is what I'm doing up here. The below must conform to it. It's like I'm doing my part, you do yours. It was like, oof. That's like, I don't know if that's necessarily that empowered discernment, but that's like a level of faith and a level, but it's a faith that's empowered by knowing, but it's like a true knowing, and it's so accountable within the self, and it understands the processes so well. It almost plays, yeah, because that's what Pluto gave us with the wheel of fortune turning into justice, and that energy of like being able to read into the subtleties of how the wheel turns, moves, and operates, and where it's more likely and more probable to stop. But it does so in such a balanced way. Like the cup is there, right? So that's not a magician that has discarded his or her or their concern for everyone and like, I'm going to get mine regardless of blah, 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 whatever. It's like, no, because the cup is still there. All of the elements are present. And it's because all of the elements are present and because they're being used in the proper ways that the below conforms more readily and accurately to what is like what the magician is projecting from their mind's eye. And look at the infinity sign. I like the infinity sign is pretty much always above the magician, but that plays on like the more strength is required to expand into what is seen in the mind's eye of 10 of Stanum. This magician has that strength, has that knowing. Now the Page of Wands at the bottom of the deck, I don't know. Oh, the Page of Wands is not the magician. The Page of Wands is like holding on to this wand, like this thing is magic, right? I just like wave it or something. But also you can see the distance between the Page of Wands and the feminine in the back. The magician utilizes all elements and all natures of those elements. So again, that would be diving, welcome back. That would be diving more into the masculine to override and to force one's own will on earth, basically, to get what we want without consideration of others or like the overall balance, the grand design, how things need to be. So it creates distortion and disruption and competition rather than pooling elements to it that are harmonious and cooperative and that expand and that naturally lead to more. It's too self-focused and self-motivated for it to truly, and like that's why sometimes it's like either it's there or it's not. Either you do or you don't. You can't, it's like you can say that you wish for things for others, or you can have these, you can like manifest, or in your practice of manifestation, you can like try to include other people. But if that consideration doesn't come from, like, if it's not true or genuine, then it falls flat, basically. And this is that, like, well, let me take care of me first and then take care of you. While the magician is like, there is a way to do this that takes care of everyone. Again, it's like it's a play, it's a knowing, it's much more cooperative with whatever the current, I almost want to say schema is, because for a hot minute, like selfishness and self-centeredness and using people to get what you want and where you want in life, like that was the way to do it, apparently. Or we tried to fix things in a way where it appeared as such. But moving forward and whatever's changing, it's like even we as people, a lot of like people are like, no, if it ain't communal, if it doesn't benefit more than just the self, then we're going to stay where we are. And we're interested in more. We're interested in something different. We're interested in things that are equitable and fair and that take all into consideration. And it doesn't have to come at the expense of another. And that may be something that's more recent since when Pluto was 23 degrees Capricorn. Or it's something that we've been more strongly desiring and more vocal about in a lot of ways because of a whole bunch of events that have occurred and transpired in ways that I guess some of us can still choose to not see or ignore or explain away with whatever logic and reasoning we want. But anyway, that's this grand retrograde Earth trine told from the perspective and viewpoint and vantage point of Patrick on the channel of Rio Koruk. Thank you all for being here. I hope you have an amazing whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. I hope that whatever you need along your path journey and what you find. Yeah, that's what I got. Bye. 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 See you later. How do I say? Adios, sayonara, jamatashita, jamatakondo, zaijian, auf Wiedersehen, au revoir. Belarus. What?